Hey guys, so for tonight we are going to be in Galatians 5. We're talking about Christ giving us this freedom, and specifically gave the Jews freedom from having to do all of these different rituals and traditions, and then at the end he's just basically like, this is the golden rule. This is what you need to do. This you have to love each other. Love each other. So I think it's a really big emphasis. The first week we were in Galatians, we talked about what the gospel is. Last week we talked about who the gospel's for. It's for everybody. And Peter was acting a little hypocritical because he was acting like these Gentiles weren't a part of what they were doing, and he wasn't supposed to be eating with them. So the gospel's for everybody. And now this week we're going to be talking about specifically what the gospel makes us do. And he's telling these guys that don't be Judaizers, don't act like you need to do all of these things to get back to God. More specifically, Christ is living in us. The old self has been crucified. We'll talk about the end of chapter 2, just one verse. He says, I've been crucified with Christ, so it's no longer I that live, but Christ who lives in me. So Jesus living in us is why we do good things, because he's living in us. Because we have the Spirit living in us, not because we are trying to be perfect, not because we're trying to be this thing that we think that Jesus wants from us. No, the old self, our old selfish, sinful nature has died, and so now we get to live with Jesus inside of us, and that's what makes us do these good things, not the other way around, not vice versa. Okay, so if we're reading our Bible every day, it's because we want to know Jesus. We want to know Jesus more. We want to know God more. We want to know what he's told us to do more, and it's not because we're checking boxes. The Christian life isn't just checking boxes to be like the best Christian possible. The Christian life is Jesus lives in us, so we want to live for him as much as possible. We want him to live in us and live through us as much as possible. That's what we're going to talk about tonight. Not this whole list of doing things to be better person, to be a better person. We've already established that we aren't good people. We sin. We do bad things. But when we say that we want to live for Jesus, when we put our faith and trust in Jesus Christ, that means he's living in us now, and so our lives should reflect the fact that he is living in us. So we'll talk about that and what it means to live for Jesus, and that's what the gospel is. The gospel isn't just a whole set of rules. It's Jesus living in us, and we look more and more like Jesus every day because we want to live for him, not because we want to be perfect. We've also started Hume signups. We've got about close to 30 people signed up. When we get that 30 number, we will announce the GSM 5. We will be starting our first fundraiser, the enchilada fundraiser. We're going to start that tonight, to be done at the end of March. We'll give them a few weeks, and then they will. The first week of April is when we're going to start that. When we'll finish that, when we'll make the actual enchiladas, we'll sell them again for $15, and they will get 10 of each dozen into their account. But make sure if they're selling them, that they have to be there on that day. And I'll announce all of that tonight. So that will be our first fundraiser. We'll do the raking thing, obviously, and then we'll have one more fundraiser. So those will be all the opportunities. Remember, we don't want kids to miss Hume because of money. We want them to participate. If they think that money's going to be an issue, we want them to participate in the fundraisers. And then we also have scholarships available. We want to get as many kids to Hume Lake as possible. We want to get as many of you guys to Hume Lake as possible. Thank you guys so much for making what we do every single week possible, and thank you for ministering to the lives of our middle schoolers and high schoolers. I will see you guys next. I'll see you guys in a few hours. Goodbye.